All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of JPJ and Friends. It's a podcast where we talk about pretty much any and everything: music, sports, if you're into it, um, men's health, mental health, uh, a lot of different issues, topics, and it's just there's it's kind of unscripted, so to speak. Like there is a topic, but it's not something that is pre-planned. Like I speak about different issues when someone presents it to me, or maybe me and my wife may be talking about something and an interesting topic pops up. So I had a good response from the last episode that I did, which was my first one, speaking about men and miscarriage. So I figure I'd give a part two, go a little bit more in depth, and speak about a wide range of topics of how men deal with it, what's the effects, and well, let's speak more from the male's perspective on how miscarriage feels. So, while doing my research, I ran across some information that was interesting that said men experiencing a miscarriage can give them a wide range of emotions like grief, sadness, anger, feeling powerless, and sometimes loss of identity. So I want to speak on each one of those because whether people realize it or not, the man grieves just as much as the woman. It doesn't take away from, you know, her experience, but it's something that you both have to deal with together. Like you get some people that's just like, oh, well, it is what it is. But when you are two people who have been striving to become parents, it's a very hard thing to hear that your significant other is having a miscarriage. There is a grieving process that men go through. A lot of times it's not heard of or seen because we tend to brush it off or not want to show those emotions. So we don't say anything. We kind of deal with it in our own way. We kind of push stuff to the back because we want to make sure that we still maintain focus on our significant other. We want to make sure that they feel, loved, and you got to comfort them and different things of that sort. But my wife opened my eyes because she comforted me in that time. She told me that everybody was calling, asking her how I was feeling. She said, "Stop asking me, ask him," which I thought was something that was profound because most of the time, nobody wants to ask the man how he's feeling. Um, I've got a lot of prayers and love and support through the process. I can say that I am much better now. It was rough in the beginning, but I made sure that I maintained a level head, um, not taking anything away from my wife or, you know, minimizing my feelings and my thoughts on it. So, um, the sense of sadness that you feel, honestly, that's normal. That's a normal feeling. And most men don't know how to deal with that because sadness is something that you're not supposed to show. You're not supposed to show when you're grieving. It's just something that you got to be a man. You got to suck it up, keep pushing. Um, I'm sorry, I wasn't built like that. I can't just bury how I feel after I just lost my child, my only child at that. So there is anger. A lot of times, being speaking honestly, you be you can become angry with God. I had a very brief moment with that, just being transparent. I'm like, God, why would you give me the joy and excitement of becoming a father only to take it from me? Um, and in that very moment, like typically sometimes God will make you go through some stuff before you get the message. God spoke to me in that moment and he was like, you and your wife are not on good terms. If y'all can't get it right now, how you gonna act when you have a child? Is that child going to see you two arguing and not knowing how to communicate effectively or not learning how to understand each other? And it was an eye opener because it just like God got me right in that moment. So it was like it wasn't no time for God to say, okay, I'm gonna let you have your pity party and then we're gonna leave it at that. No, he checked me immediately. And I told my wife, I said, it wasn't meant for us to have this child right now. Because if we can't raise a child and teach a child how to communicate with other people, how to be friendly, how to be sociable, if we can't even be sociable with each other. So that was a big eye opener at that moment. So in a way, it's a blessing, and also I've heard that there could have been something that may have been wrong with the child, some sort of some kind of disfiguration or any type of mental ailments. So we've been praying for God to give us a healthy child, not to take away from people who have children that have special needs and disabilities or anything of that nature. Not saying that the parents didn't pray for that. I mean, just being honest, every parent prays for a what we consider normal, healthy child that doesn't have any issues. So God was like, it's not y'all time yet. And I was okay with that after I went through my grieving process, experiencing my sadness and a brief moment of anger. And then you feel a sense of powerlessness, meaning there's nothing you could do to stop it. And that eats away at you because as the man, you want to make sure that you provide, protect, and even in protecting, that goes along with um, when your spouse or your significant other or whoever is pregnant, you want to protect them. So I felt like I could have prevented, but there was nothing I could do. And having that moment of feeling powerless, feeling hopeless, Like we were on the phone when we found out that she was miscarrying. And the whole time we was on the phone, all I did was just stay there to try to comfort her. And I think I had my first moment where I broke down when I called my father and I told him, and I could barely get it out without crying because it was just like, okay, beginning of the week, pregnant. Yes. Thank you, Jesus. This is what we've been praying for. End of the week, gone. And I told him I was just like, at the moment that I gave up on trying to have children was when it happened. And then now it's snatched away. And it's almost like, do you give up or do you keep pushing? And I had so many people keep saying, okay, it wasn't your time just yet. Try again. And I kept getting these people saying, try again, try again, try again. And it put me in the mind frame of, okay, so now we know that she can get pregnant. We just have to make sure that, well, there's really no 100% way to make sure that the baby, connects with the uterus and sits in there. Um, it's more so, okay, so we see she can get pregnant and she can go, you know, longer than a what they call an ectopic um, pregnancy, which is there's remnants that there's a baby there, but then it doesn't fully develop. So okay, so we know we was able to get to at least about 7 to 8 weeks. So that's a lot further. So okay, let's not give up. Let's stay prayerful. Let's continue to come together, stay on one accord. Um, we've been fasting and praying together every morning. Uh, just trying to find ways to make sure that we cover each other in prayer, cover each other with the word. We check in with each other on a regular basis. We learn to speak more loving towards each other, um, learning that there's no such thing as shutdown. So when you're dealing with all of that and you have a sense of being powerless, it's a hurtful thing as well because there's nothing you can do. There's no magic formula that'll help it go away. Um, Miscarriage is a normal thing, but meeting so many men that told me, hey, we've experienced that as well. You just have to keep trying. And that's almost like they kind of put a battery in my back, and I'm just like, okay, got to try it again. So, we try to make sure that we don't give up on God, don't give up on trying to have children, don't give up on each other. It's a process, but we've made it through. Um, I appreciate everybody for all the love, support, and prayers. And it's been a roller coaster ride, but it's a ride that as long as I have my wife, I'm willing to go through it. And she keeps me uplifted as well as me keeping her uplifted. Another aspect of emotions is loss of identity because a lot of times we as men having children changes us mentally, emotionally, where we may have been, you know, kind of like rough to everybody else or even to our spouses at some point. Having a child, it softens you, to be honest with you. I don't care how hard of a thug you want to be, whatever the case is. Having a child will change you as a man. And when you don't when you go through that part where you don't have that child, you see everybody else around you getting pregnant, they having babies. You see, the first day of school pictures and Christmas and Thanksgiving. You see all these pictures. It does something to you mentally. And, being a Bible says be fruitful and multiply, having that part where you're in you're in the process of multiplying, if we're gonna be real, um, for it to be there and then gone, it's almost like, what good am I? I can't even help my wife bring a child into this world. Like, I'm the baby, but there's another pope that's up under me because my brother Sean, who passed on, he had a son named after him. So there is one more pope where the legacy can continue, but I want to be a part of that legacy because my nephew, yeah, he's a pope. He's the last one for now. But once I, actually become a father, the name lives on, especially if we have a boy. If we have a girl, it'll live on to a certain extent, but she will be the last pope born, regardless of whether she gets married or not. Her bloodline is pope. So, you know, we get caught up on last names, but that's still, you're still your father's legacy. If you're a woman, you're still your father's legacy, even if you were the last born. Whatever that last name was when you were born, you're still that legacy, whether you're married or not. So, you know, I want to make sure that I leave a legacy for my children. That's why going to school to be a music producer is a part of my legacy. Uh, Doing this podcast is the beginning of my legacy. And the other business ventures that I have, I'll speak about on other episodes, is a part of my legacy because I want to make sure I leave something that's not just monetary to my children. So having a child gives you a sense of identity. Um, the emotional impacts, as far as the grief and the sadness after miscarriage, that gives you a sense of hopelessness. Like dreaming of being a father has been my thing for the longest. Some people know this is not my first marriage. This is my second. My first one, we couldn't have children either. So it's not my first go round with miscarriages. It's been something that I just kind of swallowed and moved on because nobody really cared how I felt anyway. But with my wife now, regardless of who else outside of us checks on me, the fact that she checked on me in the beginning was monumental to me. And it began to restore my hope. And the fact that she's not giving up and neither am I makes it even easier to want to have children again. You know, I spoke about being powerless is because, like I stated, we as men, we are like designed or wired to want to fix it. If our wife says something wrong, we want to fix it. So the fact that we can't fix it or prevent it makes you feel useless in a way. And I was still helpful to her, and she showed me that because I was there for her at the time. She was in pain. She couldn't stand. She couldn't walk. I picked her up off the floor because that's my wife. That's my job, to make sure that she's safe, that she's protected, that she's taken care of. Whatever she need, I get. Sometimes you can deal with delayed grief. You may push it for so long, and then there's something that may trigger it. And then all of a sudden, just like now, you're just hit with sudden grief. And it's just like you don't know how to think or how to function or how to feel. And it's almost like you go into a state of depression. You have anxiety, and you really don't know who to turn to. Um, to be honest with you, if anybody out there who's watching this is dealing with a sense of grief because of miscarriage, you don't have anybody to talk to, I'm here. There's a number of ways to get in touch with me. This will be posted on YouTube. It'll be posted on Facebook as well. So if at any point you want to inbox me or put a comment on the video, I can get in touch with you. We can chop it up, just talk about it, and I will do everything I can to help you through the process. Because honestly, we don't really have too many support groups for men who go through miscarriage. Uh, I did do some more digging to see if I can find videos on YouTube, and I found a few black people that deal with it. Some people write books. Most of them are white people, but nobody's actually doing it in this fashion. Like I said, there's a few black people on YouTube that I found, but nobody's really looking for that. So I feel it's my job to put the information out, speak about it. Let's get into it. Let's not hide or sugarcoat this anymore because it's very hard to go through, hard to deal with, but we have to do it. Uh, there was a survey done of 40 different men, and 59% of them say that they had a deepened awareness of the fragileness of life. 45% of them mourned the loss. So out of 40 men, over half had an awareness of it, didn't really deal with it. Did what I did, a number of times, was just kind of push it down and move on because nobody wanted to hear about a man's problems. But 45% of them actually mourned the loss. I guess you could say you can put me in that 45%. This is a topic that honestly I had no script for. Um, just speaking from my heart. Dealing with miscarriage is a hard pill to swallow. But when your support group is strong, people that want to see you happy, blessed, want to see you succeed, that support group is what pushes you. I appreciate my support group because there have been times they could have just gave up, not care. But I don't want to start naming people because it's quite a few. But I appreciate the love and support that me and my wife have received. It's very important to have someone there to push you, support you, pray with you, pray for you. Being able to talk about this on this platform was something that I was terrified to do because really not good speaking in front of people, even though this is not live. Um, Public speaking is not something that I do, but having this experience is what drove me to really dive in head first with this podcast. I will say this that I got a lot of different things coming up. Um, I do want to get into the mental health aspect. Um, my wife is a mental health therapist. So at some point, I have her come on and she'll speak about it. And then, I think for that one, we'll try to do a live stream on Facebook so people can ask questions at that moment, like in real time, so we can give you answers. Um, we also have a podcast that's coming up. We're going to start our podcast this month. It's Keisha and Jerry's Love Unfiltered. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. Uh, why is, you know, sex a taboo topic in church, especially amongst the married people? We're going to get into that. We're going to get into what is love. Like, we got a host of different topics. So, next time you see a video from me, it'll be in another 2 weeks. But be on the lookout for podcast starring me and my wife. We want to start bringing awareness and get to a point where we can have other married couples on and they can speak about their experience in their marriage and what kept them together for so long and how do you overcome different obstacles. And it's going to be something that I'm excited that we're doing. To be honest with you, I may actually do another episode probably before 2 weeks because I got a lot of different topics in my head and I'm gonna get them out. So I want to take this time to thank everybody again for tuning in to another episode of JPJ and Friends. Um, Also, I am a producer, so be on the lookout for some new beats dropping also under JP Beats. Uh, Just trying to build a brand, and nothing's gonna stop me. Um, Thank you to everybody who support the podcast, who support my music, who support my journey in school, and for those who don't support it, that's fine. It wasn't meant for you to do so. I don't hate nobody who don't support it because where you don't, there's a whole bunch of other people that will. I always say I want to be real and authentic. So this is my opportunity. That's definitely going to be a topic. How to keep pushing towards your goals when the people that's closest to you don't support you. That's a heavy one, so I'm definitely going to get into that. So again, I appreciate y'all time. Feel free to this will be on YouTube, so like, comment, subscribe, share it. If you find it useful, or if you just want, you know somebody that may be going through, share it with them. There's always ways to get in touch with me. Y'all have a blessed day.